The Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, says Australia is at a demanding chapter in its economic story and has made great progress. Politicians, business and union leaders are meeting in Brisbane for the government's economic forum. News 24's political editor Lyndall Curtis spoke to the Secretary of the Australian Council of Trade Unions, Dave Oliver.
Dave Oliver, welcome to News Breakfast.
Yep.
The forum is lasting just a little over a day. Can you really come out with concrete things from such a short period of time talking about the problems in the economy?
Oh, I think what today and last night is delivering is we're actually starting the conversation, and I've always seen the benefit of getting the key stakeholders together in the one room. So we have an opportunity over the course of today to engage with business, the non-government sector, governments and unions, to talk about where we see the problems in the economy and then start laying out a roadmap or a pathway to trying to come up with the solutions.
Wayne Swan last night said he wanted Australia to be in the top 10 in productivity. Is that an achievable goal? And while he said there should be a broad debate, does it need industrial relations reform?
Oh, well, I totally agree that we can make the top 10 on productivity. But our idea of getting to productivity is about dealing with the high road. So it's about investment in infrastructure, skills, innovation, good quality management in this country, as opposed to the race to the bottom. And I've been hearing this rhetoric for years that IR laws is a panacea for delivering productivity. It's not. IR laws, the type that we've seen others try and implement with previous governments, and the noise we're now hearing out of some sectors of the business community and the opposition, is more about reducing wages, increasing profitability. It has nothing to do about productivity.
But some of the business groups will be seeking to raise workplace relations issues, putting flexibility into the system. Are they simply areas on which you will never meet?
No, I mean, again, I've been hearing this argument for many, many years, as long as I've been around. And if you look at existing awards and industrial instruments, enterprises, for example, in the manufacturing sector can operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can't get more productive than that. What employers are arguing when they start tampering around with industrial relations laws is about reducing pay and conditions, reducing penalty rates, reducing shift loadings, reducing rights for workers. And that's a race to the bottom, and you won't win that. Where you will get productivity is you've got a high trust work environment as opposed to a high stress, low trust workplace. And any attempt by employers to claw back workers' wages and conditions will result in a low trust environment, and that's certainly not conducive to getting real productivity outcomes.
In the lead up to this forum, the Prime Minister made some comments about industry assistance that have been made by the current Treasury Secretary and the previous Treasury Secretary, Ken Henry, to the effect of the government won't be giving industry assistance to industries that are ultimately going to fail as the economy undergoes structural reforms. What should industry assistance be tied to? Should it be tied to measurable outcomes?
Well, we've always argued that there should be in place a co-investment program. So that is, the government's prepared to put up some money if the private sector prepared to invest theirs. Now, where we saw that work successfully recently was with the recent announcement of Holden, where they have put up $1 billion of investment to secure the future for Holden in this country for the next 10 years, and the Commonwealth put up $250 million of funding. That, for me, is the type of model where the government is putting in place incentives to attract investment. Now, we're not going to sit around and start picking winners and losers to say certain industry sectors are going to die. If we leave it to the market, that will happen, but if we have government intervention and incentives put in place to ensure that industries that are doing it tough can see it through this mining boom, to make sure that we're not left, as Wayne Swan has said last night, a hollowed out economy. We need to have diversity in our economy, and manufacturing and other industries that are enduring pressure at the moment are part of that future beyond the mining boom.
But in the end, doesn't it come down to, if not picking the winners, picking the industries that the government thinks will survive the transition?
Well, I think it's about picking those industries that are going to be a strong part of our diversified economic base. We've heard a lot about last night at the dinner about us being part of the Asian economy, about the Asian century. And have a look at what China does, have a look at what India does, have a look at what Korea and Vietnam are doing. They don't leave it to the market. There is strong government intervention in place to make sure their industries such as manufacturing enjoy good government support, have incentives in place to attract investment, have good training programs in place to develop the workforce. They're the key ingredients, and if we want to become part of the Asian century, they're the ingredients that we need to implement in this country as well.
The climate at last night's dinner was very different to the political climate that the Prime Minister and the Treasurer usually operate in. They were aiming for a more positive message, asking particularly business to go out and help spruik the good economic news as well as the government. Is it realistic, though, for a government which is at such a low ebb when you look at the opinion polls to kick off another round of reform?
Oh, I don't think the government's at a low ebb. From our point of view, we think the government's done quite a good job in regards to some of the reforms that have been implemented in place. Spreading the benefits of the mining boom is one of the better initiatives, which is about helping other sectors of the economy that are under pressure. Now, I've been in similar forums such as this over the years, and they've all been positive in respect of that where you get employers, governments and unions in the one room working together on the solutions, we can get real outcomes.
Do you get real outcomes out of these things, though?
Oh, I think this is the start of the conversation which can ultimately lead to positive outcomes. I mean, 2 years ago I sat in a room talking about the pressure on the manufacturing industry. Today we've got a task force that's been chaired by the Prime Minister. There's some initiatives coming out of that which will go a long way to ensure the future of manufacturing in this country, but it's got to be a continual dialogue, and I accept we are not going to fix all the woes of the economy just in a one-day get-together, but at least we can start the process, start the conversation and have continuous engagement. And that's why one of the key initiatives that we'll be arguing for later today is to ensure we can have an ongoing process where you can have employers and unions working together around the key issues. We can have industry consultative committees should be established across those industry sectors that are doing it tough. There should be a role for Fair Work Australia. We think they can play a proactive role, not only in their traditional role about resolving disputes, but dealing with the issue of productivity. And so that's going to be one of the key initiatives we'll be raising later on today.
Dave Oliver, thank you very much for your time.
That's Dave Oliver from the ACTU speaking to News 24's political editor Lyndall Curtis. Lyndall will be joining us across the program this morning, speaking to some of the key players at that economic forum. Day 2 kicks off at 9 o'clock with a speech by the Prime Minister and the Reserve Bank Chief Glenn Stevens. You'll see those live on ABC News 24.